Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. We're very happy to have you here for today's portal panel. The topic is parasites, and our guest is Olivia. So, to give you a quick intro, Olivia is a researcher and independent investigator who has taken a deep dive into the topic of parasites, informed by both her lived experience and methodical, logical approach. Olivia comes from an IT background, so she brings a system based lens to her work, asking clear questions, following evidence carefully, and challenging assumptions with precision. She is deeply passionate about education, autonomy, and awareness, and believes that informed understanding is essential for people who want to take responsibility for their own health and decision making. So I'm looking forward to a thoughtful and grounded conversation. Olivia, welcome.
Wow, thank you for that introduction. I really, really loved it. Thank you so much. Okay, well,
Well,
I know we don't, yeah, go ahead.
I'm just happy to have you, Olivia. I guess the
Thank you.
first question I have for you is, I know you come from an IT background, and I know you. I've met you in person, and I know I had no idea that you had this information because my understanding was that you were more into like magnetic.
Right.
For So, anyways, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into that and what led you into this topic?
Okay, well, one of the things is that I started about learning about nutrition and what makes our body more electrical, efficient, and efficient in general, right? With efficiency. And so I was going through all of that. And then I learned about or became aware of the biomagnetic pairs, which is a therapy that you learn in, I think they're teaching now in Europe, but it's, or in Spain. But it was mainly taught in Mexico, and so I learned that, and after practicing with my family, it was not because that's what you do when you start learning something. You first go to your friends and family, right? So I did that, but I was not getting enough feedback, and at that time I was noticing a few symptoms in my body, and so I was like, okay, might as well just do the magnets on myself. So I did that, and it was better. It was a better feedback because I was doing it and all that. So when I was applying the magnets, then I noticed this pattern, and then the symptoms were getting better, and then going to be bad again, and it was like back and forth until I kind of started getting deep down, diving deep down into what was causing. Because that's the point too. Like I had to go back to what caused the problem, what caused the symptom, right? So it was parasites. And that's how I end up like getting into really, really deep because I used to hate those little creatures, but now I'm more like fascinated by them in a way that, yeah, they need to go.
Well, I love that. I love the fact that the first question that came to mind was, let's get to the root of the problem. And I think that that's something that we often don't see people doing, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
how did that transition into like so you were working with magnets, and how did that bridge happen? Like, was it like how did it happen when dealing with magnets to parasites?
Okay, as I was mentioning, I was having some symptoms in my body and I was applying the magnets. The magnet, the pair, it goes in pairs. Like it goes, let's say, ear, ear, eye, palm, palm, right? You're right and left. And you do the negative and the positive poles of the magnets, and you impact your body that way in organs, tissues, bones, things like that. So you do that, and each that the school in Mexico had, or the person who worked on this or created this, he was able to pinpoint what what lives in that area of your body, right? It could be a bacteria, a virus, it could be any of the pathogens, bacteria, virus, fungi, or parasites. So when I was impacting my body with the magnets, I realized that I was having at least 10 pairs that had to do with parasites, right? And then when you start looking into what symptoms these parasites cause, that's some of the ones I was kind of facing and having. And but that's pretty much how it worked for me. I use the biomagnetic pairs as a as a way of scanning, finding what's going on with my body, and then from there go to the root of the cause. And when you start eliminating and taking off the cause, the symptoms should go away. So, yes.
So what was it that connected? What symptoms? What was it that you knew that it was parasites?
Well, I was having what started all this is because I was having a lot of congestion and my ears plug a lot. Another thing, everybody, some of the things that we had to talk about has to do with bodily fluids that are probably not very lovely or, great to talk about, but I just have to kind of mention that. So I was having this earwax along with the extra fluid coming out of my ears, right? And it was like constant, and my ears were plugged as if I had allergies, right? And I really don't have allergies as I used to years ago after changing my nutrition. So it was like weird. It was out of place, right? So anyway, so I was having that, and then I was kind of cleaning, like just drying better or whatever. But at some point, that earwax was having a smell, like a sweet smell for a bit. And then suddenly it was like not so sweet. It was kind of like a bad odor, right? So I was really worried about if I had an infection or something like that. And so yeah, that's another one that I had that I thought it was normal. Because this is the thing, we end up having these symptoms. I had my symptoms in my ears for about a year before I kind of just start asking like, hey, where is it coming from? Because you grow into having them without really realizing anymore that you have them, right? So another one was the movement in my stomach, right? It moves, right? It's loud, right? Another one that a lot of people don't realize is like some redness that you can have on your skin, like patches of red, like eczema and things like that, skin rashes. Um, was not facing diarrhea. That's another one that they can cause. I wasn't facing that, but I was having not much, but I was having these vowel loud sounds, right? And also knee pain, right? And I was having insomnia. I was facing that, but I didn't tie those to the parasites until I was looking into what symptoms they cause, and I was like, okay, now I know what it is. So yeah.
So Olivia, what do you think most people misunderstand or overlook when it comes to like parasites?
I think it is that because it's not really taught anymore as a thing that we live with and it's around, it's everywhere, just like bacteria and fungi, right? I think it's more like now it's being pushed more a virus. And a virus, when you look into the definition of it, it's just a poison, right? And I always thought it was a poison because it didn't make sense to me ever when in the book said that it was like this organism. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense. But anyway, so now it's kind of the shift is being focused on viruses and that, but parasites is something that, at least in my family, talking to people around me, it's not a topic of conversation, right? Now, in other places, it's more like, oh, let's eat healthy. Let's have our salads. Let's have our whatever, our nutrition here, or do some exercise. I need to exercise, go under the sun. Those are more the conversations that I see can happen more often than actually mention that there's parasites and bacteria and what they're made of and what they cause and, and the symptoms they cause, right? And that they're everywhere. Yeah.
I'm very happy that you brought that up because one of the things I wanted to discuss in this panel was like a book that I came across from the 1920s by Ethel Hume, I believe. It's called Beauchamp or Pasteur, Lost History in Biology. And that was the first time I came across like the differences in theories. You mentioned germ theory or like virus theory, right? And then I had never heard about this, but in that book I came across terrain theory, which was a theory propounded by Antoine Beauchamp in the mid 1900s, I believe. And so that's any thoughts on that? Because I think you just brought that up in regards to like people look at parasites. They don't even look at parasites, right? They kind of just stick to this theory when in reality there's all these different theories, right?
Right. I don't have much to say about it. I have heard of it, and it's like in my list of things to look at because I'm fascinated by. I've heard that it's related as to like these type of virus and in pathogens in general. I think it includes that as well. But it was just addressing the point of what's being pushed as a narrative right now, like viruses and go, wash your hands and things like that. And a virus can, make you sick and things like that, right? So, um, yeah. So I don't have much on that. Yeah, but I will
No, no,
I will
thank you.
look into it. For sure. This is my
No,
list of things for sure.
no, you definitely brought up the whole topic of the theory, so I figured I throw that in there. So, Olivia, coming from like an IT background, I know you've worked many years in that field. Um, like, how does like how do you approach this topic differently?
Well, one of the things that I did is like just looking into if it's happening very often and it comes back, right? And you can fix it and then it comes back. There is a pattern that's making that happening again or coming back, right? So in IT, what I used to do is like I go fix something on a computer or on a server or anything, right? Oh, I'll go find it. But if it disappears again, if it happening again, if it reboots again, then and if it happens 2 or 3 times, then it's like, okay, there's something else here. So I have to dig further as to what's causing that to take the problem away. So that's always been my approach is like, what is causing this, that this thing reboots or resets or deletes or whatever, right? Or if a user also, right? Because I used to train users as well. Like I had to find out what they were doing to cause a problem for themselves and then just help them to correct that, right? So it wouldn't happen again. So let's find the problem and the cause of the problem and let's remove it. So we don't have to come back and patch it every single time because we run into these routines now that we just patch things, right? And I always call it put a band-aid. I before even like getting into nutrition and all of this, I was patching because I didn't know any better, right? Until I came across a person that kind of I won't say is my mentor. Hopefully, I will call him my mentor at some point. But I learned a lot. So from that, it's like you always have. And I was able to type through him that it applies everywhere, right? You have to go to the root of the problem, the cause of the problem. So that's something I've been doing more. Where it doesn't just apply in IT, it applies in everything in your life, right? Including your home and your food, preparing anything. It's just, yeah. So I
So,
guess,
Olivia, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on like, um, I'm not an expert in all the different protocols that are out there, but can you talk a little bit about the protocols? Are there different types of protocols? What are those differences?
So I just want to quickly add something here for everybody listening. Olivia is just not drawing from English language sources. She's actually drawing from a lot of Spanish language sources
right.
because a couple of times when I asked for her sources, she's like, do you speak Spanish? So there's like a wider spectrum of what we're learning from her. Why don't you just do your screen share and show us what you got prepared, the little presentation?
I could do that. Do you want me to answer your question, Carlos?
Yeah,
Or
please, because I'm definitely very interested in like learning about all the different protocols. Because I have heard David Avocado Wolf has a protocol. I've heard other protocols. I'm kind of curious. I'm not an expert in this, so I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts on like the differences in protocol and like what do you any recommendations or suggestions for someone that's new into the space who like how does he discern all this information that's out there?
it will be in my presentation because I will tell you a bit where you can find them. But a lot of the protocols that you can find out there, I see that are more focused on on the digestive system. But the parasites are not just there. And that's another thing. Like we think it's just in the digestive system. And yes, you can correct a lot of your biome, but you have to clean up the rest of the garbage that's everywhere in your body, right? Because if it's already in your body, it went through your gut, right, to your system, right? It passed that barrier, and it's the heavy metals and bacteria, fungi, all of that. It's already everywhere. So, including parasites, and that's one thing I kind of notice that for most protocols, they always talk about the digestive system mainly, right? Which is fine. You start there, but you also have to add a few other things in order to help to help the rest of your body. And I was looking a few years ago due to my daughter having been diagnosed with a learning disability. I kind of started just going really far, trying to reach out to much information I could, and that came autism. back in the day. And this is back in the day, like, I don't know, like 10, 13 years ago, when I was looking into autism. And I came across a couple people, Carrie Rivera and Andreas Kalker, she's German. And both of them are in Mexico right now. And they are putting like a clinic there. So anyway, what I'm saying is I come from the autism type of protocol for deworming autistic kids. And now autistic kids, we know that they do have a brain um, um, blockage, right? So they in their protocol, they clean the entire body of parasites first, and then everything else that they release when they're dying or when they're coming out of your body, plus everything else that you get through food and air and water and all this stuff. So I come from that type of protocol because I just, like, if I'm having these parasites everywhere in my body, digestive system is not only going to help. Like, it will help, but it will not completely eradicate the problem, right? Or make sure that your body's more strong that way. Yeah. So
Thank you for that answer. That was great.
yeah.
Yeah, feel free to share.
Okay, perfect. Okay, can everyone see or can you guys see it?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Let me just, okay. So one of the things is that I had a 3-hour presentation and I try to collapse it to be very, very tiny. So we'll see how much I can cover here, okay? And I might go a little bit faster or not, but let me know. Okay, so a disclaimer. I'm just going to skip the disclaimer because I don't think it's needed right now. I started better because I thought it was funny. But anyway, so one thing I just want to mention is that I come from knowing that the body is the only doctor, right? The only thing we need to do is provide the body the materials it needs, the things it needs, or facilitate them for the body to heal itself. And just remembering not to be in the way of the body, not to impose on the body, because that's what we most do. We don't listen. We just tell it and we just push it. And we can find people around us that can guide us through to heal, through put pieces together in order for our body to heal. But in the end, nobody heals anybody but the body itself. So that's one thing that I don't think a lot of people realize. So anyway, so I come from that. Now, my personal journey, as I briefly kind of mentioned through my bio, or somebody mentioned through my bio, and what I just answering to Carlos, is that I came across just changing my way of looking at life in general through my daughter, because she had a lot of allergies, skin allergies, eczema. She ended up developing vitiligo, and also and also she was diagnosed with a learning disability, but she is not at all. And she was not at all. It's just that anyway, so through that I was put in a different path, learning from other people with different perspectives, with different alternatives, if you call it that way. And I came across this guy. He is from Mexico. He lives in Spain now. And I hope that one day I can call him my mentor, where I learned nutrition, right? And one of the pieces of nutrition was to change because everything we're being told is a lie. And everything you believe is probably not even true. So he changed the whole paradigm in my life. And I made these huge change in my family to the point that we heal diseases. My mom healed hypertension. She doesn't have it anymore. My daughter got rid of all these allergies. And myself, I don't have seasonal allergies anymore as I used to have them, right? So we change all this. We heal our bodies. We lose a lot of weight, which is kind of like a great plus, right? I was 90 pounds. I'm 70 right now. But I used to be 90, and I couldn't go below 90 back in the day. But that's a plus that you get after a year. Another thing is, like, if you have other diseases, I won't say diseases, but if you have the pathogens that will create a disease, you kind of get rid of them as well, okay? But in this process, you make your body stronger through conductivity, electricity, that you make sure that it has, and you look always to balance that pH. pH is a very big piece on the cell health, okay? Now, when I was going through that, and I went through classes, and I changed all my diet for a few years, then I came across biomagnetic pairs. And and I was learning about them and and what they do. And what they do is they bring the balance between in the cells, or the pH on the cells in your body, right? Because when the pH correct, which is neutral, no pathogen can live. Another thing that I recently found out was that, not recently, but a few months ago, was that, and I didn't know, fungi grows in your body if you're more acid, right? And parasites if you're more alkaline. And I was always pushing to the alkaline. I didn't even think about it until I realized, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm way over there, and my parasites is just having a party, having fun, right? So anyway, so that was very interesting because now you have to. That tells me or brought me back to remember I have to be in the middle of it, right? Anyway, in the middle. Anyway, so that's that, and then sorry, I got distracted for a bit. And then sorry, where was, oh, okay. So then I was having an experience in these symptoms, and so when I was going through them, and I learned about what the parasites were doing and the way I was feeling and losing my sleep. I honestly thought that I was even probably losing my sleep even more, knowing that they were inside and I couldn't like get them out right away. And just at that point when I became aware of them, I felt them everywhere. I could feel them like crawling in my head, and my stomach was loud, and it was like talking to other stomachs in my house, my mom and my daughter, and it was like gross. I was grossed out. But I just knew I had to do something. So you want to say something?
Well, that'll force you to take action.
Yes, just knowing that. Yes, it was so. Anyway, so so I remember at that time actually it was very interesting that someone really dear to me came to me and said that his son was diagnosed with autism, and we were kind of having a conversation, and I said, "Hey, it can be healed, right? You just have to go through this." Then I was going through my own stuff, and I was looking for the information I have about autism. So I went back to Kiara Rivera and Andreas Kalker, and I kind of look at the updated protocols that they have. And one of the things is like they have food items that we have, and that includes pumpkin seeds. And that's what I share with Agnieszka, right? And it's like I had them, I start eating them. And then you add a tea, and then you add these other things that you have in on your counter. I just have to do something. And I think it helped, right? Slowly but surely it gets somewhere, right? Another thing is that we need to be aware that it takes time. If our body, I'm 42, and if in 42 years I never, done a deworming, I didn't even know they existed the way I do now. I will take that long, not 42 years, but you will take a long time to kind of get rid of them. It's not a 7-day thing or 5-day or a week or 2 weeks or a month. It's probably going to take you a few, I will say 3 months. Every 3 months of a heavy protocol, and then take a rest of 3 months, and then another 3. And then as you go, you will see what symptoms you continue having or not, right? And you kind of go and attack that. But anyway, so that's how I kind of start looking into the protocol, and I just had to start somewhere, and I start taking whatever I had. So my findings were, any questions so far, or we're good? Yeah?
No, awesome.
Okay, so this is what was very shocking for me, that parasites can be found everywhere in your body, in the blood, brain, neural tissue, eyes, liver, spleen, lymph nodes, heart. Heart is not that often, but it can happen. It has happened in humans. Skeletal muscle cells and placenta by blood. So babies get them, right? And I can tell you a story about my mom there. That's why I have them for 42 years. Mucous membranes and digestive muscles. The infections are typically cutaneous, mucocutaneous, visceral, digestive system, respiratory systems. That's the ones I have the most, more than digestive system. Had, because I kind of been going through the whole cleansing. And reticuloendothelial system, which is a connecting tissue. So if it's in the connecting tissue, it connects everything. Obviously, they're everywhere. That for me was like shocking. And then they manifest symptoms that lead to diseases and can produce mild symptoms due to their toxic substances. Because every poo that comes out of them, fart that comes out of them, your body feels it. And this is what they cause: respiratory problems, intermittent diarrheas, explosive diarrheas, fetid, foul gas, leg pain, leg cramps, knee pain, fever, joint pain, painful or itchy ulcers in the skin, neck pain, stiff neck, seizures, insomnia, epilepsy, nervousness. And some of that can be, like some of those that I have read so far, people might think is stress, or maybe I didn't have a good night of sleep, or maybe I'm just, I didn't eat well, or maybe I ate too much and my body didn't rest. But that's probably not what it is. Just keep that in mind. Absence seizure, that's another one that I started noticing that I was having, right? Attention deficit, maybe I had that too. Autism, digestive issues, reflux, gastritis, bipolar symptoms, abdominal pain, retina problems that affects the sight. So maybe I'm wearing glasses because they put so much in my eyes. I don't know. Anyway, twitching tics, I had those constantly. And I can tell you a story on that too. Retinas and eruption on the skin, headaches, eye inflammation and pain, tinnitus, vertigo, fibromyalgia. That's a big one. And they do cause that. I say that because my mom faced that when she was going through the detox. It's kind of, she had to live through them. She felt, well, fibromyalgia can be like extreme, right? But it's like leading to that, where your body feels like achy everywhere. Anyway, nausea, vomiting, irritability, itchy nose. That's another one: itchy nose, itchy anus. Makes sense. Dysmenorrhea, menorrhea, that has to do with females. Abundant menstrual periods and or painful. Infertility, vaginal discharge, or menstrual periods with bad odor like fish, among others. And yeah, so that's what you pretty much get. This one was another one that I was having. Amoebas poke the liver and make holes like a Gruyere cheese. Feels like poking or pinching in the area where your liver is. And that was quite scary. Good
Are
thing that...
amoebas are
Amoeba,
amoebas like a particular type of parasite?
yeah, they are like worm. They're very tiny as far as I could learn about them. They're very tiny and they're like worm-like. And they just poke holes in your liver. Yeah. And good thing the liver heals. I've heard that liver is like a fantastic organ that it heals, regenerates itself, so long as you help it, right? And another one that this is kind of where I'm going into is the symbiosis. These pathogens, virus, bacteria, and fungi, along with parasites, can do. They can cause, obviously, pH alteration on your body, so they can cause a lot of more problems: infections, arrhythmias, abscesses, tumors, cancer, and others. That was mind blowing to me, and I've heard it from two different people so far from the books that I read, and there's a few other ones that are on my list to read. But in symbiosis is like in combination with this buildup of pathogens, and then the parasites come and sit on top of it because they live off everything else, right? They have a big party, and they can cause like a big other problems like tumors and cancers, so and abscesses for sure. So there you go. Any questions so far? We're good. Okay. Okay, so as I was mentioning earlier, I had to start somewhere. So my first 3 months were pumpkin seeds, diatomaceous earth, I hope I said that right, neem leaves infusion, epazote, which is also known as worm seed, skunk weed, or goose foot, tea, that's in tea as well, propolis tincture, nano silver and structure silver, CD, which is chlorine dioxide, clove powder or grounded clove spice tea, just powder in a tea as well. One of the things I mentioned earlier when I was talking is that I come from having your body to its stop of electricity or conductivity. I shouldn't say electricity, conductivity. And I add a teaspoon of salt per liter of water for each infusion I was making, right? So if I'm drinking a liter of water, I put a teaspoon of salt. So, and sea salt. Anyway, so this is what I was doing. Now, one of the things I learned, and this is from two different people, the ones I kind of learned from, they recommend to do 21 days straight and start 2 days prior the full moon. And for a maximum of 3 months. And then you can take a break for 3 months so your body can recuperate, because it's very intense for your body when it's doing this cleansing, right? Because these, excuse my French, these fuckers fight. they fight back, and it can be brutal sometimes. So the next 3 months, I was taking kind of a break and to allow my body to recover. But I was adding a few things here and there, not very often, which was that diatomaceous earth, zeolite powder in powder, because they also have a liquid form. Dehydrated garlic chips. I was craving those a lot. Like like those will sell. I will buy them in like a spice store in Mexico, and I bought like a big bag, and I was eating them like chips, and they were just garlic, dehydrated garlic. I don't know why, but I just felt like I needed it. So it was very interesting. Clove tea. I was just having those every now and then. I added on the clove tea, not honey, but maple, because they taste better. It tastes so good, just so you know. Again, I added the teaspoon of salt as well. And then for my last 3 months that I've done, or my latest ones were a few months, 3 months ago, I continue with episode tea. Neem tea, I only did it for 1 month. Propolis, I did it for 1 month. Castor oil or chanca piedra, also known as a stone breaker, I did those for 2 months. And those together, or when you use them in the month, they are fabulous. Like I will say those work because they do freaking work. Silver, structured silver, I continue with that. I also was using humic fulvic. That it's because it has electrolytes, so I was adding more to it. Black seed oil, it's for same as the silver, and the chlorine dioxide, as well as I continue adding more spices in my food like garlic and clove. Um, there's other ones that you could probably add, but I was just focusing more on the ones that I already have because I was already investing in getting all these other things to make sure that it was more proper setup for me. And then I continue with my spices. And so, yeah, that's what I was using. One of the things I'll say on chlorine dioxide is that I was trying to push myself to get it to do the protocol for autistic kids. What they get up to 50 drops, one, right? I don't know if you guys are familiar with CD, or let me know. I can explain a bit more, or that will be another conversation for another day because I love CD. I've been using it for a long time. And anyway, so I got up to 50 drops, but then I realized that's way too much for me. I don't need to go that high because I guess I don't have autism. And I can see the process for autistic kids, but for us, I don't think we need to go that high, and I lower my dose, and I will continue using that because and the silver, because those two, along with black seed oil and humic fulvic, they can clean the shite that they left behind when you kill those parasites. So that's why you have to add the structure silver if you want to, actually, any of them, humic fulvic, black seed oil, and CD, because they are going to come and they clean up the garbage that they leave behind. So that's what's really important. I got another product that has a couple other items that it's similar to chanca piedra and castor oil, their tincture. I have not used that yet because I just completed those 3 months, and I'm just gonna wait 3 months, and then I'm gonna see where I am, and then use that product if I need to. So yeah, so I just have it. But again, as I would mention, I just had to start somewhere. But food items that you can definitely start adding is that sauerkraut, garlic, papaya seeds, ginger. I love ginger, and I don't eat ginger, but I have ginger tea, and I just have it around in food too. I add it to my food. And pomegranate and carrot, right? Most of the things that from what I heard, is they have to be kind of cooked, maybe not fully cooked, but at least steamed in a way. They raw is not the great or the best way to go, especially like for carrot, I will say. Yeah. So is that if you're experiencing any symptoms, they may start feeling normal right now. So just question yourself on that. Water intake, as I mentioned earlier, I always recommend to add salt to the water. You can start slow, up to 6 grams per liter, and up to you. You have to build tolerance on that because you do get diarrhea, right? Because there's water coming out of your body. Could we think that salt will retain water, but it actually doesn't? There's another explanation there that I can provide another time. It doesn't. and but it has to have some sort of electrolytes for sure. The beverages that you get in the store, they focus more on the positive charges than the negatives, and that's that imbalance right there that can cause problems, right? So body energy, electrolytes, always, eat salt. Nutrition. It's because it's very important that you feel good to go through this process, right? Because if you don't feel good to go through the process, then it might impact you a little bit heavier. It's not impossible, okay? But just beware of that, right? And if you have done or not a deworming before, then you kind of maybe are a little bit familiar with, the process. Symptoms that you could definitely experience is diarrhea, body aches, kind of towards fibromyalgia, flu-like symptoms, definitely, abdominal pain, abdominal cramps, definitely, headaches, migraines, yes, insomnia, possibly, nausea, vomiting, maybe, and gas, bloating, definitely. So this is pretty much, in a nutshell here, what I have done. Any questions?
I guess
I have a question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Barry.
Okay. Joshua Parker gave a talk on Do It Live talking about the terrain theory. And he was explaining that the bacteria, when they're not being fed properly or something like that, they turn negative and become parasitic. And he was saying that's related to the cancers. Do you have some similar idea that where the bacteria relate to parasites?
I have that bacteria like that turns negative, right? Because it's sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's in imbalance. That bacteria working with a parasite or a fungi, they can lead to cancer. Yes, that's some of the research I've been kind of going through. Yeah. Cancer, one of the things I'll mention on cancer that I didn't realize before, but I think it's very important to kind of just see, is that cancer is not a thing. It's not like just one molecule of something, or not even molecule, one atom of something, one thing. It's made of a combination of different things, right? So a tumor starts forming because there's this ingredient and then this other ingredient and then this other one, and then someone comes to the party and then it will need some more food or whatever, and then it brings this and it starts building this big colony. It's called a tumor. And then comes the parasite, right? Like a parasite, like the worms, right? And these other different types, and they can come, pose on top of it, and be the king of the party, be the king of the colony, and it leads to cancer. That's some of the research I heard. So I have read, sorry. So I can see that bacteria that it's an imbalance, right, can work under somebody that comes on top of that and, build a cancer or a tumor and that leads to cancer. So yeah, that's from my research.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there wasn't...
Go ahead.
This is just a question. So you mentioned structured silver. Is that similar or different than like colloidal silver? Or are there differences?
Yes. Colloidal silver, nano silver, and structured silver. There's three. The colloidal apparently was the one that first came to the market, but it's not really well processed or purified or whatever. And you can still have it, but it will not. Apparently, some studies, it I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but apparently it kind of combats or kills 96% of bacteria, right? And then the nano silver is like 98% of bacteria, and the structure 99%. So apparently the structure is better than, because they have been refining the process of how they do the silver, right? But so there's the difference, right? All of them do the same. Right. Carrie doesn't recommend colloidal. Yes, that's correct. Yes, that's why I didn't use colloidal. But nano, she mentions that it's a little bit toxic. It's not toxic. It's just kind of can stay behind. But honestly, I don't think it is, because I was reading other places about it. It's safe. I wouldn't recommend colloidal, because if it's 96% or 95% effective, and I have one that is 99, 98, then I will go that one, right? I don't know. That's my thinking there. But rational, but silver, but structured silver apparently it's better, and that's the one I took for the past 3 months. Yeah, and I was taking nano silver before that. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
So let me ask Olivia, the parasites, this may sound like a strange question. The parasites themselves may not be doing the damage. It's the waste that the parasites put off. So the environment around the parasites, because of what they produce, is probably what intensifies the inflammation, the cancer, or whatever it is. Does that sound fair?
Well, no, yes and no. But one of the things is that the question: do you think a parasite should live in your body? Not, you don't have to answer, but for
No,
me, it's
no,
not. They don't
I'm
have
not
like.
suggesting there's anything good about a parasite. I'm just saying that maybe it's just not even a good question because the parasites create an environment, a waste environment
Yes.
that intensifies the problem.
Yes, and again, that's what they do. Is like they come and intensify the thing, right? They take control, and it develops into these other toxicity, right? Because they already have these pathogens that are in their nature in imbalance and can cause problems and cause symptoms. And they come and they do continue with that to make it even bigger, right? Because they're bigger as well, and they create more toxicity. And also, like for a cancer and a tumor, there's a few other things that we have to consider, which has to do with the heavy metals, the toxicity, the type of food that it's intoxicating for us, cause more inflammation. I mean, that's another topic on itself that I love, Anyways, it's very interesting. And then another one that I'm kind of getting into as I'm going through all of this, there's a lot to learn, is the emotional part of it, right? They can call it stress, you can call it whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just the emotional part that sits on top of the debilitating part area in your body where these pathogens are sitting in. That's another one on top of it, right? So cancer can come from all of these buildup of things, but parasites will definitely aggravate it, make it more will cause more problems, yeah, or will manifest.
Olivia, is there any dietary restrictions or things that people shouldn't be eating when they're
Yes.
doing a protocol? And
I
if so,
don't
what are
have.
some of those things?
I will say yes. Yes, I will say remove all sugars. Just go to all sugars, like all of them. Syrups of all kinds. The one I always recommend is honey, and do that in very low quantities, right? Another one I will say it's avoid dairy as much as you can. The reason why it's because it ferments in your body, and these pathogens can really like that, right? So the acidity that they cause in your body. And wheat, because of the type of carbohydrate that it is. But, sometimes you cannot avoid them. One of the things I'll say is that if you can transition gently to a carnivore, a paleo, I don't know what will be the pronunciation for that. Help me, Carlos.
Paleo?
Paleo, there you go. If you transition and use that kind of food, will be better. Animal fat for sure, and avoid raw food as well. Try to have it all cooked for at least for the time that you're doing this, because a lot of people like to crunch on carrots and celery and things like that are raw, right? And yeah, so if you can avoid the sugars, even like fruits and stuff, do that for the time that you're doing this, because that feeds the parasites for sure, all the carbohydrates and sugars.
So I have a question in the chat. Oh, you know what? Don Carp, he's raising a hand. It was your question, so the floor is yours.
And well,
Go ahead,
the
Don. You
question
can ask a
is,
question.
I'm
oh, okay.
sorry I missed the beginning, but I have a background in microbiology, so a definition of a parasite is probably different from what you're doing because you mentioned bacteria and viruses like they're not parasites. But worms, bacteria, anything that survives on your body is a parasite in the microbiological definition. So I don't know what a parasite is in your definition. Can you define a parasite?
Yeah. I'm not saying that viruses and bacteria and fungi are not parasitic, or they are, but I'm not also saying that they're parasites. Okay, they are just pathogens live in your body. Parasites, they are that is I guess an organism, I guess, that lives off the host, right? And it builds itself from these other pathogens as from within parasites as well. That's what has been my definition or my
Okay, look it
understanding
up in
of
the
parasite.
dictionary. You'll see that a parasite is merely something that lives on something else. It could
That's
be
right.
a virus, a fungus, it could be an amoeba, it could be a worm. A lot of things are parasites. The one you're talking about specifically, I have trouble envisioning because all those things in the dictionary are parasites. You could say your husband's a parasite. If you're working and he's not working, you could call him a
Well,
parasite.
yeah. If we go through that definition, yes, there's a lot of, we can call a lot of people and entities parasites. Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
But in this
I'm
Made
specific,
me
getting a picture of what this thing looks like. Is an amoeba a parasite in your definition?
as far as I know, yes, it is.
Hookworms, flatworms, what are these?
Hookworms, flatworms, yeah. And there's other worms that I don't have the names right in front of me, but yes.
Okay, thanks. Just
Yeah,
so I
yeah, yeah.
know.
Yes, yeah. And also like the ones that are kind of vectors, which is the flies and the lice, flies. Those are vectors or parasites as well. So they're sometimes considered parasites as well. So yeah,
I'm,
they
I'm
live off.
suffering. I'm suffering from candida, and
Yeah,
I have to get off the carbohydrates. Basically, I've been too much of a bread eater during my life, I think.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thanks. It's very interesting.
Yeah, thank you. And Candida has been in my. It's like I've been talking to people, and that keeps coming up for me. So I have to look into it more on that. Anyway, very interesting to mention that.
Building on what Don said about parasites, so I drink raw milk with kefir in it, which stimulates the enzymes in my stomach, and it's been like a miracle. It's been one of the best things I've ever done. But I always wonder about, there are healthy parasites, and then there's like the enzymes that are created by the kefir, which kefir is made with mushrooms. So I make my own kefir and then I mix it into my milk. But at any rate, then there are parasites that are damaging. I don't know, I wish I knew the difference because I'm sitting here thinking, remember I mentioned the idea that parasites put off toxic stew, kind of, that creates the acidic environment around the tissue, which causes the inflammation. That's just my opinion. These enzymes that I believe the proof is in the pudding. It just is the best thing I've ever done. That is a healthy parasite, the enzyme, because it actually promotes my digestion. So anyway, I didn't state all that very well, but just trying to look at the difference between the two. So what Don said meant something to me.
Yeah, one
Bill,
of the
Bill, can I say, Bill,
yeah,
your
go ahead.
volume is about twice as much as it needs to be.
I tried to turn it down, Barry. I just don't know how. I apologize.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and mute.
And
Um,
also, Ritz has a question as well.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, Ritz, did you have a question? I saw your hand raised.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry. I forgot to unmute.
no
I was
worries.
just thanking Olivia for sharing your story. I always love hearing um, people's stories, people experimenting with themselves and then sharing the result is so much more inspiring and more informative, in my opinion, than reading a research paper or something like that, right? It's your truth, and each individual has their own story. So I love hearing that. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, the thing with the parasites, the comment that I think it was Barry who mentioned Joshua's talk, which I didn't catch, but one thing I've heard regarding parasites and bacteria and viruses and fungi and all that is there was a guy back in the day, probably in the 1800s or something, named Gaston Naissance. He might have been referring to that type of thing that has to do with pleomorphism, which is that he had the microscope, but he had a special microscope that was able to capture what he called either microsoma or somatids. So those are the originators or the life forms that exist in our bodies that changes shape depending on what it is that your body needs at the moment. So I'm not saying that this is true, but this is what was brought to the public at that time. And then it's been pushed aside by, the germ theory, and we got to be scared of our own bodies, and et cetera, et cetera. So, that's actually very fascinating to me. The possibility that there are these life forms that change shape, they turn into bacteria and turn into whatever. And then I think fungus is probably one of the latter forms where it can cause all types of problems. And this probably relates to what Bill is talking about, in that these different forms will create, eat up whatever it is that you have in your body and then try to fix the problem, but then create the excess, what is it? What's the word for it? The waste products that causes the symptoms that we suffer from. And yeah, I find that all of this really fascinating. And I had so much more. I had so much more. But I wanted to ask you, Olivia, I don't know if I missed it, but what happened to your daughter after she went through this process?
Okay. She because my daughter, she has to go through all the processes of, trying all the things that I have tried for the past 10 years, I will say. One of the things I'll say is, like, when we changed our nutrition, I don't know if you were here when I was mentioning that. When we changed our nutrition and she was diagnosed with all these allergies and disabilities and vitiligo, the allergies disappeared. They went away, right? Because we build that correct microbiome in our gut. And that's the big one. But they talk a lot about it, but they really don't go deep into a lot more into it. But anyway, so we changed that. Those allergies went away. And if she is to eat bread or any wheat or sugar, she doesn't like dairy. She gets really bad. But the other two, she knows when a product she gets has any of those two things, because a few things happen in the skin that she is like, oh, now I know that thing has this, or she avoids them. But anyway, so she learned to see and listen to the body. The body talks to her when she eats something outside of of our system, after cleaning the gut for her and doing a lot of changes too. So that's that. Then for one of the things that I noticed, it was like she was less, it was like a bloom at some point where she was more interactive with the school, and she was completely different. I don't know if I think it was a couple of two things. I think it had to do with the nutrition, because he cleaned stuff out of it, but as well as, like, her mind was more like aware, and she was able to pick and choose how to interact. It was very interesting, and that happened during elementary school and then middle school, but mainly elementary school. That's when we kind of did all these changes. And then for the parasites, she recovered faster than me and my mom, because there's three women living together, mom, me and my daughter. And my mom and I have had other completely different symptoms that she has. Like she just manifested too, which was nausea and stomach cramps. Like one time was very, very bad for like a 3-4 hour, and then the next day was just very little, and that was it. And she has not really faced any other things. Um, Another thing is like she doesn't get sick often. Like she barely gets sick. She doesn't get any flu symptoms or any flu. There is seasonal or seasonal flu, or she gets allergies, seasonal allergies. She's barely sick, right? And so yeah, those are the big changes. Now vitiligo, that one, it changed too. It was really, it was a very big part in her body that was completely clear, not pigmentation. That kind of uh, fixed itself, I'll say. But what's interesting is that, and this is where the emotional part, and that's another part of the things that I'm learning. And again, this is again, it's a conversation for another day. But the emotional part, anyway, sometimes you still have like spots, right? But those spots move. Sometimes they're like clear here, but then later it moves over here, but this one covers itself and then it goes over here. It moves. And I'm fascinated. She's fascinated by it. So we always talk like she's a map, right? We try to find our way in the map. But yeah, so the vitiligo changed tremendously, just changing nutrition. It made a huge difference for sure. Yeah. And the parasites, I'm not sure if it helps or not. We'll see. But for sure, she's just had a few symptoms, and now she's feeling okay. She's feeling good.
Olivia, have you run into gluten and how that affects the body?
I learned about it when I was going through the nutrition change for us. I don't think we experience what people do with gluten. We didn't get that bad, but I've heard of what it does and the inflammation, the pain it causes, and inflammation, the bloating, and that sort of thing. Yeah. So we eliminated that. We just don't have that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm a little bit familiar. I didn't experience it that I can say much about it. But yeah.
So
I understand it attacks the intestine and it breaks down the wall of the intestine and you can have a leaky gut and that's pretty bad.
Yes, it is. And through Kara Rivera, that can be corrected and heal for sure, forever, if you really stick to your work.
Olivia, there's a question in the chat. It deals with pork. Is that something that people that kind of um, what's the word I'm looking for? Does pork help parasites thrive in your body? Is it something that we should not like minimize our intake?
Well, I stopped eating pork about 10 years ago. The reason, so I don't have the answer to the question as if it will alter the process of deworming and or help the parasites to continue thriving. I will say this: Kara Rivera, in her diets, she recommends 3 diets. One of them includes pork. Still, okay. However, I don't agree with that because, and the reason why I removed pork in our lives, and I used to eat it like it was my favorite. I removed it because looking at nature, pork or pigs are to eat humans. They can digest humans, right? As hyenas and these other dogs, right? We are not to be over them and eat them. We can eat anything below us, which is like cows, right? And no humans, but anything below, right? That eats grass, right? But pigs can eat us and everybody else. So that's why, to me, it makes sense not to look and try to eat something that can eat me, including dogs.
You're saying don't eat omnivores, only eat vegetarians?
Right. You can eat the products of them, for example. You can eat the products of a, I don't know, let me think about it. Sorry, I had a thing, but
Well, while you
anyway,
think,
but yes.
That was a great answer. I really like the fact that you mentioned all these options. You mentioned three different diets. You mentioned why you don't, or, your specific diet and your reason, and I think that's fair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I agree. Pork is it's great. It tastes great. Back in the day when I used to eat it, I just don't anymore. Last time, after I will say 3 years of not eating pork, I went to this wedding in Mexico, and they had this pork dish that we just grabbed the sauce that what the pork was in. We got this intoxication. Oh my God, it was lovely. Yeah, for like a 24-hour intoxication, it was bad. It was really bad.
Olivia, may I
Yeah.
just add, and thank you, this is great. I just
I
wanted to add about pork,
Yeah.
that yes, I am in agreement with you. And what I found, and I recommend that people don't eat pork at all, is because it's very hard to digest in the first place. And then second, when I lived in Mexico, because pork is huge down there, everyone has parasites down there. This is a generalization, but my gosh, there was no Mexican person who I saw that didn't have parasites. I believe it's because of the huge consumption of pork. They are loaded with what is that parasite? Trichinosis. So it is pork specific. I say stay away from it, not only because of the parasites, but because it's inherently hard to digest.
And on that, I think just by you confirming that it's hard to digest, it means that it's not for us to consume.
Exactly.
Because if you eat beef, it's not hard to digest unless you combine it with raw salads and
Correct. And,
vegetables.
and the
If you eat just meat, right? And maybe um, one vegetable, but partially cooked. And from the vegetables, I recommend, or I eat. I won't say I recommend, but I eat asparagus, Brussels sprouts, or mushrooms. Those are the only ones that if I combine it with my meat,
and
I eat them.
even easier to digest than beef is lamb. If you want a
Yeah.
red meat,
And
lamb
that's
is
another one that you can definitely eat. Yes, yes.
definitely.
I'm not very high on lamb. My daughter is. I am not, but yeah, but definitely.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. But yes, like if it's already hard to digest, it tells you it's not for you to consume. If it's really
Exactly.
hard on your body, anything that we put in our mouth, if it's hard, if it's not meant to be easy, that the body, life is easy. The body, that's another thing I learned. Life is easy. It might look hard and all kind of stuff, but it's easy. The body just deals with easy things that are, because it has the system to do that. Like it has the proper system to handle all this. It's not meant to be sick. It's not meant to have these extra entities, or well, let's call it entities, but pathogens inside, right? Because they take him out of balance. But anyway, if it's easy to go, it's good for you, right? But if it's hard to digest or hard to deal with, it's probably not so great for you, right? And I'm talking about this the body, right? Because if you have a challenge in life, you have to kind of push yourself and get it done. Like I am here today. It was a big challenge. Thank you, Agnieszka.
Olivia, do you have any special words about fish or chicken?
I was just going to ask about fish, and let me just preface this for just 1 second. When I was in Bermuda, they were talking about not eating the fish that eat other fish, just eating the fish that eat the
Canton.
green vegetarian or whatever,
Yeah.
because the fish that eat other fish have some kind of a parasite in them that can cause you neural problems, like extreme pain in your nerves for years, and it takes like 2 or 3 years to get over it. So have you heard about that? And what about fish and chicken, like Barry said? And also David was asking about vegetarians.
Vegetarians. Okay, I'll hold that. Okay, for fish, the system we eat, we don't have anything in general, no seafood at all, but fish every now and then, and the one that has scales. That's the only one we eat. If the fish has scales, you could have it. But it's not very common that we do add it into our diet because is not as good as red meat, right? So, and chicken as well, you can have it. It's recommended to be organic, and the reason why is because they can add a lot of hormones and they can feed them different stuff, right? Or yeah, organic chicken, pretty much. But again, is it does for us that for me, for us, my mom, my daughter, my dad passed away, but he used to be in the system. I wish I could show you the photos of the changes in their life. Actually, I probably find it because you will love it. Anyway, so one of the things was it's not as it doesn't fulfill as much. Like it's yeah, and when you eat red meat is better. So chicken is okay. It recommended to be organic, and for fish it has to have scales. That's the only thing I know, and that I have go by. Or yeah, but it makes sense what you said because those fish that eat other fish is like the pig. Pig can eat me, right? So yeah, if I'm easy to digest by a pig, then there you go. I don't know. Yeah.
This is a great conversation. I'm really enjoying it, getting a lot of value from it. Any other questions that you might have for Olivia?
I
I just
would
wanted
just
to
like,
add that sorry.
go ahead. I just wanted to say, the small fish like sardines, they're really good for you. They have the omega 3s, and they're not likely to accumulate mercury or
Oh,
heavy
good.
metals because of their small size. And yeah, they're much healthier for you. So sardines, I recommend even over salmon, which is also high in the omegas. So with that, I am going to say thank you again. Good to see everyone here, and I'm going to leave. But good night, all.
Well, thank you, Renee, for stopping by. Bye.
Well, while we're on seafood, how about scallops and
No,
what's the
Yep.
those
what,
are bottom feeders, and
oh,
those
shrimp,
Yeah,
shrimp.
you don't.
What about
No,
shrimp?
no, no. You don't
not
want
good.
those.
Not good.
Not good. No.
Okay.
So nothing. No seafood. I know people is really high on that. A lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people is high on that. We thank goodness we were not really on that. So it wasn't hard for us. I can see and appreciate that it can be hard for other people. But yeah, shrimp. No, you don't want shrimp.
No. Okay.
No. Yeah. Yeah, if it, because look at it, shrimp, even like this is the example that it was like a very easy example when we're talking about it. In the movie Nemo or Finding Nemo, there is a shrimp that is eating the garbage around the tank
Mm.
of the fish. So that tells you, like, if it's eating garbage, then maybe you don't want to eat that. You don't want to eat the
How
garbage.
about lobster? Lobster?
No, I don't actually, I don't know, but probably not. I'll find out for you if you want, but I'm not sure.
And Natalia, I see your hand raised. Feel free to unmute.
There, I just want to clarify, maybe I've missed it. What happened to your daughter's autism? Did it go away?
Oh, she never had autism. I looked into it just in case because they would keep telling me she had a disability in learning and stuff, but she never had it. No. No.
Ain't that something, huh? They're so quick to tell you have problems, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes, yes. Like and when I got into autonomy, that's when I learned I was like, well, if you I love that phrase from Richard because it kind of clicked for me differently. It was like, well, if you go to the school and and they tell you they are disabled, well, definitely they were enabled at some point and now they are disabled. I was like, exactly. Because my daughter was going to Montessori and she was thriving. She was she's been creative. Carlos, Agnieszka, and other people here have seen her art and have seen, other things that she has created, not just art, but other sculptures and things. And she's that great. And she was doing that at home. And then the school telling me she was disabled. I was like, okay, something's going on. Yeah. So she put me in this path of learning. My daughter was like a wake up call for me, I guess. So yeah. through her, because of her, I've been learning all these things. And then through just not that, but my mom and dad and myself, now I'm in this thing of learning a lot of things about
That's
health. And
beautiful.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
That's
yes,
just to
beautiful.
clarify,
yes.
the reason I'm asking is because I'm a psychotherapist, and most of my clients are from the English-speaking world, and they're so-called neurodivergent kids. Some of them are formally diagnosed with autism, and they experience gender distress. I myself, I was born in Russia, and I'm not seeing the same stuff in Russia compared to what's happening in North America. So, and let's say I'm kind of like on the fence as far as, autism as a diagnosis is concerned. So basically, what you're saying is that um, you were told by the school that your daughter was disabled. It was not like through your own observation that you've noticed some traits or behaviors that you would classify as neurodivergent.
That is correct. Yes. And
Okay.
I looked into the information just in case, because it was like I was getting
Mm,
all this thing, so I was just trying to figure out what that meant. So,
okay.
if you want, I would recommend for you to check the work of Kerry Rivera and Andreas Kalker. He's from German and she's from US, but they both, I don't know if they both moved to Mexico now, but they have clinics in Mexico now. Kerry is in Mexico.
I think
Kalker, I'm not
all
sure.
also Robert Kennedy Jr. is going after the fact that the children's vaccinations, there's like 73 vector different uh, vaccine components, and these kids are taking booster after booster. And
Mhm.
you look at the graph of autism and vaccination, and they match and they're going straight up.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, and I'm just kind of like wondering whether, the effects of those vaccines can be reversed by, trying a protocol like this. I mean, I
Yes,
think it's a way more complex
I will say
kind of like,
yes. There is
yeah.
possibility. There is always a possibility from Kira Rivera, and I have a couple of books from her. You and Kalker as well. I have a video where they talk about a kid, but it can be also for older kids too, like teenagers and maybe adults. It's just more intensive, right? That their level of toxicity, and toxicity includes heavy metals. Virus for
Mm,
me is poison. It's a poison substance. It's metal, heavy metals stuff. Bacteria that it's out of balance, fungi that lives there. Why not? And then the parasites that come and live on top of everything else, right? And then the emotional distress for these kids. I've seen a couple of kids that are close to me, that close to me in the way they're friends, right? And I can see the parents having this stress for the kid, and then the kid not being able to communicate. Imagine all that energy right there. It's so stressful. It's so hard for everybody. It's sad. And then having all this toxicity on top in the body and very tiny, and then you grow older and then it's more and more loads of it, and then the food, because you feed your kids food that you think is the best, right? Unless until you find out that that food was contaminated with a bacteria then your kid got, and then it adds to the party right there. So yes, honestly, from the work I've seen, I have not experienced that, so I cannot talk about experience, but by reading the experience and testimonials of other people, it seems like it's possible to heal. It's a very
mm,
intensive protocol work that you have to do. As a parent, it's a very big commitment, but it's possible. Yeah, I think it's worth to bring it in front of people, and then they make the decision if they want to go through that, knowing that it's hard, right? It can be very tough.
And
yeah, thank
Olivia,
you.
what about water and air? Because like Catherine Austin
Mhm.
Fitts is always warning that we are being poisoned in by air and by water.
Those are big ones. Yes, we
5G,
are. Huh, go ahead.
5G.
Yes, and that too. You add on top of that, and as you can see, all of those have poison, right? poisonous substances. They add it to those things and we consume them. But at the same, and it was very, very hard for me to know, like, so what do I do? Where do I go? Right? And discouraging too. But then one of the things I realized is the body is so strong, so well done, well made. It knows what to do to the point that it's still existing, right? It hasn't died. So, but it's trying to deal with all of this. And again, when you put the emotional part of it on top of everything else, it makes it exacerbate. I don't know if that's the word, but anyway, it makes it bigger, right? It makes it more complex.
Yeah.
But yes, if we can, I don't think we can do much about the air because we can go out and I can smell things sometimes where they're spraying things here, and the water, it's so freaking chlorated, it's gross. We can try our best by getting like a filter at least for the water. The air we can't do much, but if we, I think at that point we have to just continue eating stuff that's going to clean our body every now and then, right? Eventually I think we need to do, and that's how I did it, at least with nutrition. I started with my nutrition for a year. I went through this process of changing everything. I clear out all the water inside of my system. I got rid of a lot of fermentation that in my gut that was not correct. I clear that out. And then other things came up, right? Because you are exposed to these other things, right? And maybe your body is not in balance because you're, I don't know, maybe you are stressed out. Maybe you're sad because of a situation, and, you know, or you lost something, or you feel like it's impossible to do something. So that adds to it. If you guys have heard of New Germanic medicine, I'm getting into that as well. Because one of the things is that when you have this, how you take in on something that happens, or you're seeing something and you take that in, it impacts your body, and your body reacts in certain organs, certain places of your body. Your body reacts certain places in order to cope with that situation, right? And it's very interesting. And I'm mentioning this because I'm not fully, I'm engaging into that situation, let's say, engaging into that knowledge right now. But so I don't have much more than what I can say now. But that debilitates your body, right? And there is a pathogen there around that is like, oh, I love this place, and it lives there and it starts building something, and there you go. You have a cancer, you have a tumor, you have an abscess, you have whatever. Yeah, that's the way I see it, and it makes sense to me that way when I'm reading into all of this information. So yeah.
I got a question, a
Yeah.
comment. I mean, about 10 years ago, I noticed I was sleeping 10 hours a day. So I went to a nutritionist, and she told me about lectins, and that you shouldn't be eating legumes, including peanuts, only eat certain kind of nuts, certain kind of oils, fruit once in a while, basically paleo, and very restrictive. So for a month I did that, and I went down to 8 hours a night sleep. However, I cannot persist on restrictive diets. My soul needs some kind of food too. And some of the soul food is very unhealthy. So I balance this out. I have ice cream, my chocolate ice cream once a week, and I have other things I shouldn't be having. And I maybe feel bad for it the next day, but I don't care. You know, my life is more important than my body telling me just eat this one kind of food. So I wonder, how strict are you with your diet?
Oh no, my diet is not restrictive. It is in this way. I eliminated all sugars, wheat completely, and dairy. Okay, that is completely. And when you go to the market, that's what they sell everywhere, right? So it's interesting,
What
right?
about
To take that away.
fermented dairy?
No, I don't take any fermented dairy. Not dairy at all. No, unless it is. If I'll eat sometimes, it's like Roquefort type of cheese, right? Because it's like culture with some penicillium and stuff. And I add it every now and then sometimes, just because of the penicillium that it grows in it, right? The bacteria that it grows. Or aged stuff maybe, but I don't really add that much. I'm fine with that. Vegetables and fruits, I kind of eliminate all of them. What we eat is what's in season only, right? If where I live mainly, if here they grow strawberries in season during July and August, and that's what we eat, and then that's it. We don't buy strawberries outside of season. And we are not heavy on salads, not at all. They're not nutritious. They're nutritious at all. We're mainly meat eaters, kind of carnivore, but not fully. Uh, well, yeah, fully in the way that we eat red meat mainly. We add chicken and fish, as I mentioned before, and that's pretty much about it.
About spices, coffee, other stimulants, alcohol.
I have alcohol, but fermented drinks, typically beer. I'm very heavy on like fermented drinks. Alcohol, it's just red wine mainly, if not pretty much red wine and beer. That's all. And craft beer. I don't have like Bud Light or these other crappy beers that they sell over there. And I'm sorry for anybody who's a fan of that one. I think it's very crappy. And you can taste the difference once you start going into the good craft beers and then the market ones are, you can see the difference. So we have that. Lots of salt. Definitely I add lots of salt. We don't eat dead water or just purified water. We had to add electrolytes. Um, and so that's the one. I don't eat a lot of water because this is another thing that they said to people, oh, drink your 8 glasses of water
Mhm.
and be hydrated. You're not hydrated that way. You're dehydrating yourself, right? And a lot of people don't understand that because when you pee it, well, here's the thing. My experience was, again, that I was drinking about 4 to 6 liters of water every day, like a gallon and a half, gallon and a half. And it was like I was forcing myself to drink that water until it became a habit. And I did it for about a couple or 3 years. And I was so lost in energy. And I had so many symptoms. And I didn't realize about those symptoms until I got to my nutrition and I changed all that. And I saw it for the first time how much they tell you to drink water and you lose weight or whatever and it's healthy or whatever. That's why I say healthy. What does that mean? Right? What does it really means? It means a lot of things for everybody and everybody interprets that differently. Some people like to be vegan, some people like to be vegetarian, and they have and there's reasons for it. And if it works for you, whatever you're doing works for you and you feel good to your fullest, then it's good for you. It's a good diet. It's a good nutrition base for you, right? Because we're all different.
Yes.
But
You
if
mean
it's not working, like you, for example, like I don't want to be limited to food. I'm not. I eat my meat, my eggs, and I add all these kinds of spices, and I have lots. I have tried lots of um, recipes. So I do have a lot to share there. I have made Indian food with the way I eat, and because they use a lot of dairy. I have done my Mexican one because they use a lot of cheese and pork, and I have done lots of things, and I'm not limited there because the spices change the whole game. Then for milk, if or for beverages, we have almond. Almond is the one that's most recommended than rice and
Well, what's
oat
more
milk.
recommended than almond is coconut milk.
And coconut milk is more recommended. That's right. And we do that one too. Yes. Coconut milk and almond milk. We do those two. I end up, my daughter kind of just like, I want some cookies. I want to have some sweets. So she figured out ways to make cookies that are to our system. We consume only corn flour and almond flour and coconut flour, right? Because it's kind of like, and you can combine. And we have made like lots of stuff. We combine them. We make cakes and just simple stuff. Like I'm not going to go like these fancy cakes, make with all this stuff. No, but I have enough for me to have a sweet and enjoy a cake for me, a slice of cake or a cookie, right? For chocolate, we eat lots of chocolate, but dark chocolate hitting to
Yeah.
the 80s and 90%. We have tried that 100% as well. Um, and as you change your diet, like the 100% is not that bitter. Black coffee, we don't add anything to it. I don't. It's just black. First time in life when I changed my diet that I was actually having coffee. And I can taste the sweetness. Like I can tell you which one is good or tastes better than other ones. But I'm not an expert on coffee in that way, but I can tell you like, oh, I can taste it. Um, and so yeah, coffee that we do. So coffee's good. Fermented drinks, and it's called, I don't know. Carlos, help me there. Suero. which is like electrolytes type of beverages that you make. Um, how would you say
Um,
suero?
I'm thinking right now. Give me a second.
Yeah, think for me. So I prepare that and I add again at least 6 grams of salt per liter of water. And then you can add lime as well. Kind of like a lemonade, but not sweet. You can add a little bit of honey. I don't. Just salt is good for me. But that's another thing. And just honey. Just honey. Sometimes I add maple, like natural organic maple syrup. um, because it's very sweet and I use it sometimes, but I prefer honey. So yeah. Anyway, so my diet is not restrictive. I use all of those things. I combine them in many different ways. Fruits just when it's season. Vegetables only. The ones I mentioned earlier, which is Brussels sprouts mainly, which I love. Asparagus and avocado. That's another one we eat a lot. We can have avocado uh, every
Yeah.
day if you want, and you can make it like the guacamole type of Mexican style. We do that. Yeah, so it's not. It might sound like that, but it's not. You just have to be more creative on the combination. Nuts is a big one. Yes, and you can add your nuts every now and then. Like you don't have to just eat them because you having symptoms today. Just maybe with your ice cream, put a little bit of nuts there, eat them, and that's it. And also never feel guilty about what you're eating. If you're eating the way you're eating, if you feel guilty, you're not doing the right thing, but at the same time, just enjoy. Like your ice cream, enjoy it. Why not?
I
I
like
would.
that.
What's the better coffee, Costa Rican or Colombian coffee or whatever?
Mexican from Veracruz.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. I had really good ones from there. Yes.
So,
Great.
Olivia, thank you so much for this amazing presentation. I think it's been jam packed with a ton of information and value. Um, and I know that we actually made this presentation a lot shorter. The original presentation had a lot of the definitions and things like that, and uh, we figured Olivia save that one for like her workshop or presentation. We wanted like a more easy flowing conversation, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well.
Can I
Uh,
get in one more question?
Definitely.
Okay. What about soy?
No soy. It
Okay.
causes gout.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Barry, stop doing that. No, just kidding.
So, Olivia, where can people find you? I know I was writing down like the protocol. I didn't have enough time to write it all down. Where can we find more information about this? Where can we like if I want to learn more about this? Where can I find information?
What I'll do today, I'll share my email right now. You guys can email me so that you're interested. And when I've been putting together this information for years and not for years and years now, but for months now. And I was just getting into more and more information until Agnieszka said, you have to put it out there like now, by yesterday. So that's why I'm here today. So I'm not fully prepared to share something with you guys today, but now I will. So here's my email. And you guys can email me that you're interested in finding more. Once I have it all set for you to check and learn more, then I'll share it with you. You will be the first ones to know.
Awesome. Well, we definitely appreciate that. And I just want to also tell people that Olivia will be joining us at Portal Gatherings in Tepoztlan, Morelos, Mexico. We have a festival there that's happening from March 1st through the 6th, where Olivia's going to, I'm sure, going to give a more in-depth presentation without any time limitations or times is not going to really matter. Tickets are available. Our early bird tickets have sold out. Check out our website at www.portalgatherings.com for the tickets that we do have available and other information. So thank you guys for joining us, tuning in and not tuning out. Very excited for our next month's Portal panel. Agnieszka, did we want to share a little bit about next month's Portal panel?
Yes, everything is in place for Portal Gatherings, where it's going to be an amazing week in Mexico. We have all the speakers lined up. Today, I was told that like all the slots are completely filled and everything. We have only a couple workshops slots left. So you can go to the website and check it out. I put the website in the chat. And next month on the Portal panel, everybody who's on the mailing list will get an invite. Of course, it's the second Wednesday of the month and the same link as today. We're going to be interviewing each other, like the organizers of Portal Festival, and we're going to be talking about what Portal is going to be, what we have planned, all the excursions and adventures that we have planned. And actually, speaking of excursions and adventures, Megan, can you stay behind a little bit? I have a question for you. Oh, you're muted, Carlos.
Perfect. So with that said, I'll go ahead and play us out.
Step through the